Today we are discussing, I think, one of the most hotly debated topics of the time, and I think which each of our student panelists will have a view on, which is the boys' locker room, and whether this is a reflection of the mindset, the existing mindset that the general population has and the student body has. So I'm joined by five very dynamic youngsters who are joining me from different parts of the country, and that also means that they come with a diverse set of views and opinions on this particular issue. We are joined by, we have Riya Puri with us, Mr. Arman Bamzai, Neha Lenin, Virat Chaudhary. Finally, but definitely not the least, we are joined by Ms. Rasil Arora.
So my initial reaction was of extreme shock because the people who were being spoken about were from schools such as my own. Nobody I knew personally was a part of the incident in any way, shape or form, but there were people from schools that may as well compete with the same as mine. I was extremely taken aback at this, but I think seeing the revolution that came across, it definitely was something, it was a wake-up call that was required for our society. So although it might have been an extremely sorrowful and negative incident to have taken place, it surely led to a different era altogether.
When I was researching the incident and thinking a little more about it, I found it important to distinguish the actual particular group of boys' locker room and the several other groups that were uncovered later. So when we refer to boys' locker room, or when I refer to it, I'm referring to all of the several similar groups that were formed in order to objectify women or share derogatory content about them. And obviously it's an awful thing to have happen to someone, and it's important in times like this to always stand with the victim or alleged victim. There's not much reason to side with the person who is carrying out this kind of behavior, but it's more important to sympathize with the victim and offer them counseling and offer them support, as well as punish and show consequences to the people who carried it out.
Yeah, so I think the reason that boys' locker room got as much traction as it did was also because of the visceral reaction that it caused sort of in all of us. When you see sort of the screenshots firsthand, you feel like, you're part of the story and the narrative. That being said, I don't think we should look at boys' locker room in isolation, just because the manifestation that boys' locker room was essentially uncovering rape culture, or at least sort of amplifying the discussion around rape culture in society, going from privileged sections of society down to underprivileged sections of society. So I think my reaction was undoubtedly visceral because, I felt like, you're a part of the narrative when you see things firsthand. That being said, I think it's really important to discuss the issue as a whole as opposed to the incident in isolation.
To be completely honest, I don't think I was that shocked when I saw this because objectification and passing these derogatory comments is something that's been so normalized in our society and in our culture. Of course, I was upset seeing the actual screenshots and the actual content, but it wasn't something that really surprised me that it was actually happening because it's just so normalized for us to, from the media that we'll be discussing later, and everything is just super normal to make comments about people's appearance and objectify people in that manner.
So initially, when the issue was getting attention online, I did not know much about the situation in particular, except that the people trying to raise awareness on social media were trying to throw light on a major issue in our society. So this helped me, and I'm sure many others also, educate themselves on this topic, which hasn't been done in our society as much as it should have been. So later on, as days went by, I started to learn more about the specifications of this particular issue and what exactly was going on in this situation. And the main reaction I had was of pure disappointment. The fact that the people involved were as educated as my friends and I, it made me feel that they weren't so different than me, yet still did such horrendous activities, which was just extremely disappointing.
So now coming to some very specific questions on the issue, and I think somewhere that hit on the root cause of the issue, and I'd like to first pass this question to Rasil. that what do you think promotes this culture of objectification today? How is it so deep-rooted in us that we can't seem to get rid of it?
Right. So answering your question, which is, and I'd say the reason that it's so deep-rooted is because I think India is, by its very nature, a very patriarchal society. And, unlike other Western liberal societies, things like gender inequalities and its various manifestations are still very much prevalent in rural areas and in, privileged sections and, even families that are as privileged as all of us that can sit here today.
Objectification is not something you're born with. It is something that is taught to you, or so-called you teach yourself. Now, this is done through various mediums. It can be society, social media, and a point that I found, advertisements on various apps. And these kind of specific advertisements can then lead to loss in society as a whole for the mindsets of young minds.
Yeah, so just adding on to Raseel's point, it's just when she mentions the blind eye part, I completely agree with her. But even our generation, many people itself, some people have told me too, that it's good to be supportive of certain issues, but it's a controversy to speak up about them. That if you're speaking up about an issue, that you tend to get involved and that you're actually putting yourself at risk, which is something that too needs to be changed, because if you feel strongly about something, you should again have all rights to speak about it.
Yeah, I agree. So, that brings me to my other question, which I think is very, very important. Is media, and especially here I'm talking about social media, and specifically because, I have seen, I know TikTok is banned now, but I have seen some disturbing content on TikTok which sort of promotes this objectification. So, let's talk a little bit about, how social media also as a conduit is actually promoting objectification. And like all of you guys said, right? So all of these groups were actually available on social media. So let's sort of throw light on that a little bit. So Arman, can I hear from you first on this question?
Yeah, so I completely agree with the idea that social media could promote objectification, not only through these kind of controversial groups, but also the most famous people on social media, or people who have the most following, are generally more conventionally attractive, or young people are encouraged to sort of show their bodies or do something that they might not be comfortable with in order to gain following. And any kind of pressuring like that through social media is absolutely a cause of objectification, because it makes young people feel like they're only valuable for their bodies, which is not true at all.
Yeah.
But also, I think to an extent, you are responsible for what you post on your own social media. It's a very individual thing. So you have the power to say, I don't want to objectify myself, or I don't want to post content objectifying others. There's always a fine line with peer pressure and external influence, but I think we have power to control what we consume and what we put out on social media, and we should use that power to put out positivity.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, the other question that I'd like to ask, and I'd like to start with Neha on this one, that do you think parents and schools are actually sensitizing students adequately on issues related to gender equality, gender roles, stereotyping, etc.? Do you think we're doing a good job of it?
I think especially when it comes to schools, I don't think there's something really built into the curriculum which addresses the idea of gender roles. And as we see in boards such as like the Karnataka State Board, if you look at textbooks, they're inherently like reinforcing these gender roles, because it's not built into our curriculum at all to kind of break these stereotypes.